Hello, I'm Simi Das with Inside Scoop. Joining me is Jay Greene, senior writer at CNET. Jay, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Jay recently returned from 2 weeks in China where he was researching the life cycle of an iPhone. You're working on a series of reports, and one of those reports will focus on the working conditions at the factories where iPhones are created, manufactured. Tell us what that was like trying to get that information. First of all, it must have just been kind of difficult being in China as a journalist, as you said, a white male in China. You stuck out a little bit.
You stand out a bit. Yeah, you know, so I got to visit a Pegatron factory, outside of a Pegatron factory in Shanghai. Pegatron makes iPhones in addition to Foxconn that I think more folks know
we're
about.
all familiar with Foxconn.
Right, so I asked both Pegatron and Foxconn if they'd let me in, and neither said they would, sadly. Apple was also
Which is not unusual.
Not unusual. They have let some journalists in, not many, and they've chosen not to. They chose not to let me in, and that is what it is.
But you were able to speak to some employees.
That's right. So what I did is I went with an interpreter, and we went outside the Foxconn and Pegatron facilities, and it was fascinating to chat with these guys. But you're right. You know, as a white guy, I stand out, and you know, culturally, it's a really interesting experience. And you know, when boundaries are sort of different issues, different experiences when you're in different countries. And you know, I might talk with somebody, and I was a curiosity as it was, and people would gather around and they'd want to hear what the conversation was, and they'd have their own running commentary as I was interviewing somebody. It was an interesting experience.
So you knew some information going into
Sure.
China, but what surprised you when you got there?
You know, maybe surprised is too strong, but the thing that is always fascinating when you do any kind of reporting like this is the nuance that comes out. And the fact is, none of this is clear-cut. It is absolutely clear that the conditions at any of these factories are not like what you would find at a U.S. factory. Some employees, without question, aren't happy about it. Others are grateful for the job. And you know, the pay is, for many of these folks, less than $250 a month, which seems paltry to I think, most American employees. That said, for a lot of these folks, it's better than any other job they might have otherwise had. And so, you know, when you talk with these people, you get some of these nuances that come out, and you're able to put, you know, a face on some of these issues, and that was really what was kind of most fascinating to me.
I know you weren't able to go inside, but can you describe what the location is like, the environment, the buildings?
Sure. So I went to a number of different cities. So I visited Pegatron in Shanghai. I visited Foxconn facilities in Zhengzhou and in Shenzhen.
They have many different locations.
That's right. Foxconn is a major employer in China, and they're located throughout the country. They have some big facilities in some areas, and they're building more and more facilities inland, because often a lot of the workers at many of these factories are migrant workers. They come from their villages, travel many, many hours, and it leads to some of the issues that you hear about, some loneliness and some of those issues. And so Foxconn has actually chosen to build factories nearer to some of these villages. So Zhengzhou was a fascinating one. Zhengzhou, it's a 2-year-old plant. It's a little bit off the beaten track. It's actually one of the plants that Tim Cook visited when he visited China in the spring. And it's a fascinating place. It's a fairly arid place. It's actually not too far from the Shaolin Temple. And there are something like 100,000 employees who work for Foxconn at that facility. And you know, it's a number that it's an abstract number to anybody hearing this.
But when you see 100,000 people,
it's astonishing how many people work there. And what's really interesting is that factory is growing, and so everywhere you travel near that facility, there's construction everywhere. And you know, the fact that they're
spurred by the factory being there?
It's all Foxconn.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see Foxconn signs for all this construction. So it's just, I mean, it's an amazing, the scale of what's going on there is truly impressive. I mean, it's astonishing to see.
All right, Jay, thanks for the insight. We look forward to the report.
Thank you.
For Inside Scoop, I'm Simi Das. Thanks for watching.